Today I'm going to show an automation I use a lot when I work with items and a hierarchy of tasks or other database items. So you can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of tasks, and I'm going to show you how I manage those at a task page level. So a couple of prerequisites if you want to use this automation. You will need to be using sub items in your database. So you will need in your database items, you will need to have your sub item set up, and that will create a parent and child relation in that database. You'll also need another relation, self relation to this database, and that is also a two-way relation, upstream and downstream. And let me show you. Or actually, another thing to keep in mind here is this is built using Notion automations, which is a part of the paid plans, so it's a paid feature. However, if you duplicate a template with this automation, you can use it for free. You just won't be able to edit the automation. It would work for you. This automation is available in my project management template, and that's linked below. But how the automation works is basically this. So here in our project view, we have a really nice view of all of our tasks and subtasks, and we can go down as far as we want in terms of the hierarchy and based on the filters here. But if I was to view this parent task in a different view, let's see, that's the parent task page. Would say I was to access that from somewhere else. Say this home calendar view of all my tasks, and I open the parent task. I can only easily see the child task filters just by filtering by the parent property. You could use roll-ups to get another layer deeper, and we don't have the option to filter using formula properties, so this is why we turn to Notion automations in this case. So just showing you what this does. So if I set the upstream property to filter by this page, we can get rid of the parent one there. Great, we can now see that the grandchild and great grandchild tasks are in here as well. So what the automation that's powering this, right, is basically every time the parent property of a task is edited, the automation runs through the full hierarchy of the task, runs through its hierarchy and maps all those tasks to a relation property. So in Upstream, you can see that parent task, child task, and grandchild task are all here in this Upstream property, right? So that's all the levels of hierarchy above our task here. So that means I can easily filter when I click on Upstream from this Upstream and tag by this page, get that full level hierarchy, and you can just set that up in your templated page. And what the automation actually looks like, I can show you now. This is the automation page in my template, in the project management template. I have another video that explains why I use automations like this. You can check that out if you want. But how it works is I have the automation set to trigger if the parent property is edited. I don't usually do triggers based on a property edit. I usually set filters in a view like this, and then set the trigger to be when a page is added to this view. But I do think the property edit is a little more robust in this case, so that's what I'd recommend. These steps are optional. I have this built into my system just so I can better track what automations are updating what pages. What you're looking for is the upstream value here. So the formula is actually really straightforward, and you're just accessing the parent value of each level of the hierarchy. So parent level 1 is accessing the parent, then parent level 2 is mapping the parent value, parent, so the grandparent, and that goes so on and so on. I have this set up for 13 levels. I think Notion formulas can technically go to 15 levels. I've never had a need to get anywhere near 13 in a tasks database, so I didn't push it to the absolute limits, but you can if you want. This formula, if you just want to add this directly to your own system, this formula is linked in a blog post down below, so you'll have the full formula there. And one thing when copying and pasting formulas, it might make you manually add the trigger page and properties back in. It's just a limitation on copying and pasting into Notion formulas. But even if you produce it for 1 or 2 levels and you're working with Notion AI, if you have that in your workspace, you could get Notion AI to repeat for the additional levels. With maps down to level 13, then you get all the parents by using concat and all of those variables, and then return just those unique values. And that's what will get you, if I open the great grandchild, that's what will get you the full list in the Upstream property. So this isn't limited to just tasks as well. Tasks is probably the most obvious use case. I'm actually using it in another template that I use for building. So you can see I have locations here, and I can go down to the different levels in this wider view. But then when I click into, let's pick an individual page and go to the Here tab, I can still see the full levels of hierarchy, which is useful. If you're interested in this, I'll probably do another video on this template at some point as well. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. So it just gives you the option to see the nested levels of hierarchy from any parent page, and you can apply that to any database you're using sub items on. So I hope that helps.